So Mary's not here to talk about it, but can you talk a little bit about what the impact was of not showing the child's face the entire film?
It was when we started, Mary was like, this is my concept, this is my idea, and for me, she was always there. You know, we auditioned a lot of actresses for the role of the daughter, and Delaney Quinn, who's this wonderful actress, plays her. So she was my scene partner for me, but obviously visually you don't see her in the storytelling, and I think it's because Linda doesn't see her until the end. I think she can't see her. It's really sad. And then at the end you see her, and it's this heartbreaking moment because she can finally look at and see she's just a little girl, you know. So for me, that's how I interpret it, but I think for everybody, it could be different.
What were your first thoughts when you first read the script, and how did it evolve when you were shooting, because it's very beautifully written?
I thought it was like fire, the script. She just lit the page writing it. It's just so radical and dangerous and funny, and there was a beautiful symmetry to the script that I think it remains in the film. And I love the way it goes in and out of existential moments, and it offers more questions than answers. And I think the film, I've done a lot of jobs where you're improvising and you are changing things up, and and this was not the case. We were very much sticking to in the best possible way. Like, I didn't want to change a thing. I was like, I don't want to change anything about not a single syllable. So, and like I say, we had this wonderful rehearsal process, which was such a gift. You don't get that usually in TV and film, especially something independent like this. And I think without that, I would have felt pretty untethered. So I felt I was very lucky.
Apart from yelling at Conan O'Brien, you also had a very good rapport with him, and he and A$AP Rocky are not known for their film acting, although now I think A$AP Rocky is. This was his first of two great performances. But how did you work with them, and did they come to you for kind of advice on how to navigate these roles?
They were so sweet. I mean, they were both so respectful. Rocky's such a Renaissance man, you know, he does so many things, and he's so innately creative and inspiring, and he was just so respectful, like, to me, to the point where I was like, it's okay. He was so sweet and had ideas and wanted to try things, and that character of James is really hard because you're not sure what his motivation is, and he's the most genuine person in the film. He's like the only person who actually listens to people and is curious and is empathic, and Conan, you know, like, he's not a great therapist. Not good therapy. Guys, anyone who's in a relationship like that with your therapist? It's not good. So we had a lot of discussions about their relationship, because it's toward the end of the patient-client doctor relationship in that between Conan and Linda, Conan's character and Linda. And that was trying to figure out what had happened before then to reach this horrible, kind of bitter, terrible, where they're both behaving so badly. And also the humour in that as well. And Conan was so game, you know. And you realise, you know, his show and how extraordinary he was on the show, but that's also a performance, you know, and this is another side of him. And he brings such goodwill to him already, Conan, and I think it's great because it asks the audience, and it sort of is a bit of a bait and switch, which I Mary was so creative with her casting.
Was Linda a good therapist?
What do you think?
Was there a discussion at any point that there might be a happy portion?
No, I would argue that the ending ends on a positive note. I think the final line is actually, it's heartbreaking, but she's going to try. She's going to try. And that she hasn't said that throughout the whole film. She hasn't even been able to see her daughter in front of her. So for her to, at that final beat, be able to say that, I do feel it ends with hope, maybe not like a party, but.
Yes, balance the comedy with the very dramatic aspects.
Mary was so great because the film has this tension, right? This extraordinary tension that builds and builds and builds, and this claustrophobia, and she knows just when to push it far enough and then let out the gas, and you can laugh, whether it's in the moments with in the scenes with the therapist, or even on the phone with her husband, or the hamster sequence, which is so funny. These moments where you get to have a release and the audience hopefully stays with us and stays with her. And that's really a testament to Mary, just tonally getting that really perfect. Because you have to stay on the journey, right? And obviously through humour is such the best tool to do that. Yeah.
Were there any instances where you had to kind of redo a scene because you had kind of gone too far in one direction or the other, where that's actually too funny, and now we're a little
That's
bit...
a good question. No one's asked that. But Mary just knew this movie so well. She had it in her head, this vision, so specific. That I think we definitely gave choices, like different variations of scenes, but she always knew when to pull back or try more or try less. The hamster was a pretty complicated sequence. That was because there was a real hamster and then the fake hamster, and it was a whole thing.
For the sequence where the hole in the roof becomes increasingly surreal, what were the logistics of shooting that? Was there VFX involved or real effects? What were you reacting to?
Mary was obsessed with practical. She just wants to feel and have that practical feel of these big set pieces like that, and that was a huge one. So that was a lot of days. I think a lot of the budget even probably was spent on that whole sequence, it was very trial and error. I think we maybe shot something and it didn't work. We had to reshoot. So there was a bit of that going on. But I feel like you really feel it when you watch it, when you actually see it happening. Truly that was what my reaction was in real time, and that was really fun for me as a performer.
I think we have time for one more question. Yes, can we get somebody at in the back?
I don't know. I can't
Right.
answer. That's for Mary. She's so erudite, and I feel like I'm going to just massacre that answer, so I'll pass.
We have time for another question. I think everybody heard that.
That was shot toward the end, and a lot of the we had to shoot the whole film before the winter set in, basically because of that sequence, and that was in Montauk. And the waves had been very calm for the whole time, a few weeks we've been shooting, and then that night the sea became quite angry. I'm Australian, so I have a lot of respect for the ocean. We learn to swim as soon as we're born, and I'm very, I simultaneously love the ocean and swim a lot, but I'm also very wary of any, just having grown up, on this island in the, so far away on the coast. So I was looking forward to the sequence, but I knew it was going to depend so much on the waves. That night we nearly lost the cameraman. He nearly went down. He got caught up, and we weren't even that far out, but the tide was so strong. So it's a combination of me and a brilliant stunt woman called DJ who was just extraordinary. But I did a lot of it, yeah, and I honestly do think culturally I have a relationship with the ocean because of that I was already preparing for it in many ways, subconsciously, that I think that sequence is really quite stunning, and it was definitely a huge set piece that we were all preparing for. The anticipation for those nights was very, present on the shoot.